Hello everyone, my name is Matt Rieger and I'm your race director for the Duathlon National Championships that'll take place in Greenville, South Carolina on April 7th and 8th. This is the pre-race webinar where we'll go over all the race production, event timelines, and pertinent race logistics to ensure that you as the athlete will have a successful race experience over that April 7th and 8th weekend. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll go over those race and event logistics. Encourage you to listen carefully as the information provided within will ensure you have a safe and successful race. First off, we'll start with our new national events app that our team here internally at USA Triathlon has been working hard on to release. This will be a resource for athletes, spectators, family, and friends where you'll be able to track participants' progress live on the app, access course maps, and other pertinent information in real time when you're on site and mobile, so you won't be having to sit next to a computer or things like that to log in and see. Note that this is different from the app that we released in 2017. We've done a complete redesign with a new app platform that's more user-friendly for both us and the users, so hopefully that should boost the functionality that you guys see on your end. Just wanted to highlight some key features when you do log into the app. You'll be able to track yourself if you, the athlete, are racing, and other participants as well. And then obviously if you have family and friends attending the race, you'll be able to allow them to track you as well in your progress on race day. You can register for race updates and receive push notifications from certain athletes when they cross timing mats, and then also receive push notifications from us as a USA Triathlon staff if we need to send out pertinent race updates, if there's any delays, parking information, things like that. So if you have that app on your phone, you'll be able to receive those instantaneously while you're on site. So please refer to the website, the link below, if you have any more questions or looking for more information on the app, or be sure to search the App Store for USA Triathlon Events app and go download. Moving into the schedule of events, so just one quick note. If you did race in the past in 2016 and 2017 in Bend, Oregon, the schedule of events is flip-flopped a little bit. We have our Draft Legal National Championship taking place on Saturday as the first race of the weekend, and then the non-drafting races on Sunday. So we needed to flip those 2 days, so just be conscious of that as we work through this information. Starting out on Friday, April 6th, we have a course preview with Tim Yount. So for those of you that are in town, would like to get a feel for the courses, how the ins and outs will flow within transition. Tim will be leading that at 9 a.m. At Lakeside Park. There's also one on Thursday, the day prior at 9 a.m. if you're getting in town a little earlier. So there will be two options for that. We also have our packet pickup at EXPO taking place from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. that day over at Carolina Triathlon. This is for both non-draft and draft legal athletes, and it is required for draft legal athletes that will be racing on Saturday to come and get their packet on Friday at Carolina Triathlon. Also keep in mind that Carolina Triathlon is the bike support sponsor for the race, so if you have any bike issues, need any bike maintenance, need them to take a look at it, you'll be able to bring that over and have them take a look while you gather your packet as well. Later that afternoon, we have our draft legal rules briefing at 2 p.m. Over at the Embassy Suites Golf Resort and Conference Center, which is the host hotel, and that'll be in the Doral meeting room that day, led by head official for the draft legal race, Craig Hankin, and myself. We'll go over some more draft legal specific rules and course logistics and race logistics for that race in particular. Immediately following that rules briefing, we will have our draft legal clinic also put on by Craig Hankin to go over some more educational content for draft legal racing as a whole. Moving into Saturday, we kick things off with our Draft Legal National Championship on Saturday. That is the sole race for this day. Transition will open for all Draft Legal athletes and a required bike check-in for all Draft Legal athletes, both male and female, from 5:30 to 7:25 that morning. Transition will close at 7:25, at which time athletes that are in Wave 1, male 15 to 49, will need to make their way over to the start chute. As we work through these waves, just be sure that you're keeping a close eye on the time, and be sure to approach the start gate 5 minutes prior to your wave start time in order to get staged within that chute in an efficient amount of time, so we can ensure the time we send off of each wave. So we have our two male waves first at 7:30 and 7:40, and then we have two female waves at 8:45 and 8:50. Simultaneously, as those are going off, we have our EXPO on site, and then also have another packet pickup period on site for the non-draft athletes only that will be racing the following day on Sunday. Starting at approximately 9:50, we have our bike checkout for draft legal national championship athletes that start to finish. We will point you to a different transition entry point, most likely on the north side of the transition area, where we will have a swing gate for you to enter and exit and safely retrieve your bike and check that out. Look for more direction from the announcers and USA Triathlon staff on site to where that exact point will be. The bike course will close at 11:05 that morning, with an overall course closure at 11:55. Following the completion of that race, we have an optional bike check-in period for non-draft standard and sprint athletes. So if you're doing the draft legal race and then are racing the next day, you can leave your bike overnight and not have to transport it back to the hotel and then back to the race venue on Sunday morning. So we're highly encouraging that. We're expecting a bigger field for all races this year compared to past years. So just want to be sure that we can safely and efficiently get everyone in and out of transition. Later that afternoon, we have our non-draft standard and sprint and PC Open rules briefing back at the embassy in their grand ballroom. And then immediately following that, we will have our draft legal award ceremony for the athletes that obviously raced prior that day. Moving on to Sunday's races for the two non-draft races on Sunday, April 8th. Once again, transition will open at 5:30 a.m. that morning for all athletes, and we will have a mandatory bike check-in for standard distance athletes, and it will be optional for the non-draft sprint athletes who are racing later in the afternoon. We're still highly encouraging sprint athletes to check in at that time if they're available to and have the capacity to do so, just to allow for ease of space and a more efficient bike check-in process from 12 to 1 later on in the day. Transition will close to all athletes at 7:25, and then we will start with our first wave of standard distance athletes at 7:30 and going off every 5 to 10 minutes up until 8:15 a.m. And we will have 6 waves in total. Once again, both for the standard and the sprint distance waves, just be sure you're allowing the appropriate amount of time to get yourself over to the start chute to ensure that all waves can go off in a timely fashion. In conjunction with racing, we'll also have our race day expo open once again at Lakeside Park, so be sure to swing through there. And then we will have a bike course closure for the standard distance athletes at noon that day, with an overall course closure at 1 p.m. for standard distance. Simultaneously, while those closures are happening, our transition will open to sprint athletes for a mandatory bike check-in. And also at this time, standard distance athletes do have the option to check their bike out, while keeping in mind that we will have a hard cutoff at 1 p.m. both for sprint athletes checking in and standard distance athletes checking out. We will then have our first wave of non-draft sprint athletes starting at 1:05, then going off at 1:07, 1:10, 1:12, and 1:15, ending with our PC Open wave at 1:15. So we will have 5 waves total of non-draft sprint athletes. Moving through that race, we have a bike course closure at 3:25 p.m., at which time we'll have an approximate bike checkout for all athletes at that time. If you are a standard distance athlete that was not able to check their bike out from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., this will be your next opportunity to do that. Then we will have an overall course closure at 4:15 p.m. for the non-draft sprint distance. And then we will slide into our Duathlon town hall meeting and award ceremony back at the Embassy Suites. We encourage all duathletes to attend the town hall meeting. This is your chance to get a State of the Union for the sport of duathlon and voice your opinions and ideas on what we as a national governing body can do from a programming standpoint to increase participation in duathlon. And we will also have 100 free drink tickets to the first 100 athletes and or patrons that come to the door to that function. So some details on the packet pickup and expo periods. So as I mentioned before, we will start off the weekend on Friday, April 6th with packet pickup and expo, both for non-draft and draft legal at Carolina Triathlon. This is required for the draft legal athletes to come that day, since you'll obviously be racing the next day. For parking, please refer to the information page on our Duathlon event website. We have some outlines and parking lots that'll make your experience coming to Carolina Triathlon a little smoother, just to be aware that we don't take up spots for the surrounding businesses. Moving on to Saturday, April 7th, we have another packet pickup period, this one back at Lakeside Park, and this is for non-draft athletes only that will be racing on Sunday. This is from 10 to 4 p.m., and we will also have our expo taking place simultaneously at that same time. Keep in mind, if you are coming over to the Saturday, April 7th packet pickup period, we do have a new optional bike check-in period time for non-draft athletes from 1:30 to 4 p.m. this Saturday afternoon. Just with the increased expected field of athletes that we're expecting to have, we just wanted to offer this as a smoother way to decrease how many athletes we have checking in bikes on Sunday morning. And then moving on to Sunday, April 8th, we will have our expo open once again from 8 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. Back again this year, we will have a bag check option at Duathlon Nationals. At packet pickup, you'll have the opportunity to pick up an 18 by 24 clear plastic bag, as you see pictured in the bottom right corner of this slide. If you do end up wanting to use the bag check tent as an option during your race, you will need to fit all contents within this bag. You can put a whole entire backpack within this bag. It just, no matter what you would like to put in, it just needs to fit within that bag. We will also have a key drop as well. So if you do end up parking on site, you have the ability obviously to leave your materials in your car and just want to drop your keys off. We will have a pegboard that will have a ticket system, and you'll be able to drop your keys, receive a ticket, and then obviously redeem that ticket later on for your keys. You'll receive on your bib packet, with a packet pickup, you'll receive a sticker on that sticker sheet layout that you will adhere to this plastic bag, and that will be the way that both we can track your bag in the bag check tent, and then when you come back to retrieve it, you'll just obviously simply give the manager of that tent your number, and they'll retrieve your bag. Some more detailed information on race site parking on Saturday and Sunday, April 7th and 8th. We are encouraging all athletes to ride or walk to the venue if possible, or attempt to find carpools to decrease the amount of traffic that we do have coming to the site. Road closures will begin at 5 o'clock a.m. So if you do encounter police and or volunteers, please abide by their directions. We do have on-site parking available at Lakeside Park and within one surrounding parking lot. There is a more detailed map on our information page on our website that shows the outline and the route in more clearly than this slide does. Just extra time coming to race venue. Obviously, we have a high volume of traffic coming into Lakeside Park at one specific time, so please be assured you're allowing just a little extra time to park at Lakeside Park. Moving on to overall body marking and sticker placement. So at packet pickup, you'll receive race bib and sticker sheets and tattoo sets within your packet. So over the next couple of slides, we'll outline those placements on your kit and on your body and on your person to ensure that you're following all USAT competitive rules and to keep you safe as well. In the two images here, we've outlined the race bib that you'll receive and then the stickers on your helmet. You'll receive 2 helmet stickers on your sticker sheet. One is placed on the center of your helmet, as you can see in the image, and then one will be placed on the left side of the helmet. You also receive a race bib as well that for the non-draft races, keep in mind, can go on either side of your body. For the draft legal race, it needs to be positioned on the front of your body. Furthermore, you'll also receive a bike seat post sticker, as you can see in the left image there. That sticker will be wrapped around your bike seat post and hanging and pointing backwards to your rear wheel, as you can see, or if it's easier, it can be attached and wrapped around your brake cable, as you can see in that image as well. And then also you'll see that I touched on earlier, the bag drop label that you'll receive. You'll attach that directly to that clear plastic bag that you can then use to check into the bag tent. And then the final piece that you'll receive in there is a quad set of body marking tattoos. As you can see with the athlete in the picture, these need to be placed on the outside of each bicep and then on the outside of each calf. This is just to ensure adequate coverage, both from a safety standpoint and officiating standpoint. Really allows us to identify the athletes in both cases. If you do wear arm warmers of any sort, just be sure that you look to kind of the next available skin. So if you have arm warmers that cover your biceps and upper shoulder, you can move that tattoo down and place it on more of your forearm area. And then vice versa, if you have arm warmers on your forearm, just be sure to place that tattoo a little higher up on your shoulder. Same kind of concept goes for your calves. If you have compression socks, just be sure to place that tattoo in between the top of the compression sock and the bottom thread of your kit, or vice versa. If you have something that kind of covers that upper calf, just place the tattoo lower on your calf than is currently pictured. Moving on to timing chips, please make sure that you pay extra attention to this information both right now and then once you pick these up at the packet pickup period. This year, unlike previous years, timing chips in 2018 must be returned after the event. They are not disposable. If you do end up keeping those and or throwing them away, there is a charge of $95 that will come. So just keep in mind that when they're done, and volunteers and our finish line coordinators will be there to assist you and remind you, but just keep in mind that they are not disposable and cannot be thrown away. Furthermore, on top of that, for athletes that are doing multiple races, you will still receive only one chip. You as the athlete will be responsible for keeping that chip throughout the race weekend. So for example, if you are doing the draft legal sprint national championship on Saturday and then doing the non-draft standard national championship on Sunday, you will keep the same chip from the draft legal race to the non-draft standard race. Our volunteers and race staff will be there to remind you of that once you cross the finish line of your first race, but also just keep in mind and be cognizant that if you're doing multiple races, you do need to keep that exact same chip. Furthermore, as an extra layer of identification, we have different colored chips, or different colored straps rather, for different quantities of races. So if you're only doing one race and you have a black strap, if you're doing 2 races, you will receive a red strap. And then if you're participating in 3 races throughout the weekend, you will receive a blue strap. All of our USA Triathlon staff and volunteers will all be very well versed in this color coding system. And obviously the process of checking for these chips after you cross each finish line. But if you as the athlete could also be cognizant if you need to keep your chip for another race, that will go towards making this a smooth and efficient process. All of this information is also listed on our website as well, on the information page, on the Duathlon event page. So if you'd like some more detailed information or to look over it again, please be sure to visit that. So for the draft legal rules briefing, this will take place on Friday, April 6th at 2 o'clock p.m. This is highly encouraged for all draft legal sprint athletes. We'll go over our course and event logistics for the race, and then Craig Hankin will also touch on the draft legal specific rules, so everyone can ensure that they have a safe and successful race come Saturday. For the non-drafting rules briefing, this will take place on Saturday, April 7th, also at the embassy. This is for non-draft sprint, standard, and PC Open athletes. A couple notes for race morning for Saturday, April 7th. So we have a required bike check-in starting at 5:30 a.m. For all draft legal athletes, both male and female. And this is from 5:30 to 7:25. Parking, as I mentioned earlier, is available on site at Lakeside Park. Please refer to that previous slide if you're looking for a little more information on that. No bags will be allowed in transition following the closing time. Please be sure that if you do have a bag, please check that into the bag check tent located directly adjacent to transition. And then bike support provided by Carolina Triathlon will be available on site that morning as well, if you need to pump up some tires or have some minor maintenance that needs to be taken care of. A couple notes for race morning for the non-draft on Sunday, April 8th. Bike check-in will be at 5:30 a.m. Required for standard distance athletes and then optional for sprint athletes at that time. We are still encouraging sprint athletes to check in their bikes at that time, just to allow for easier flow from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. That will close at 7:25, and then as I noted, we will open back up from 12 to 1 p.m. for a required bike check-in for sprint athletes and an optional bike check-out for standard distance athletes. Once again, for parking, that will be available on site. And then we will also not allow any bags in transition after closing, but we'll have that bag check tent available adjacent to transition. Also, one reminder for non-drafting athletes, both standard and sprint, we do have that optional bike check-in on Saturday afternoon from 1:30 to 4 p.m. So if you do end up coming over to Lakeside Park for packet pickup that day, we are encouraging you to check your bike in that afternoon. That way you won't have to deal with bringing it over race morning. Here's an outline of the race distances for the 3 different races. Each run course follows the same dynamic. So each run course will be 2 laps for the first run and then 1 lap for the second run. Both standard and non-draft sprint bike courses will be 1 lap, and then the draft legal sprint bike course will be 3 laps. These distances are also all outlined on our website as well, so please refer back to that for that information as well. So for the standard distance run course, our run 1 will be 8.45K, and then run 2 will be 4.5K. This is a scenic and challenging course on Piedmont Highway, which is directly adjacent to Lakeside Park. Both running lanes are close to traffic. Please be assured that you're staying inside the cone lines and abiding by all wayfinding signage throughout the course. We'll also have 3 aid stations throughout the standard distance course with Gatorade and water, and they will also have science and sport nutrition gel as well. Volunteers and police will be on the course managing the road closures and traffic control. So if you do come across them, please abide by their directions. They're there to keep you safe and keep you pointed in the right direction as well. Each running lane, each direction will have the width of 1 vehicular lane, so about 12 to 14 feet wide in each running direction. So here's an outline of the standard distance run courses. As you can see on my green cursor here on the Run 1 course map, that is Lakeside Park. That is where the hub and the transition will be, as well as the start. Once you start, you will exit Lakeside Park and traverse north on Piedmont Highway all the way to the turnaround, and then south on Piedmont Highway, and go back past the entrance to Lakeside Park just a little bit, turn around, and then continue straight back. At this point, for the run one, this is where you'll be forced to make a decision. We'll have wayfinding signage where you'll continue straight for your second lap, or you will take a right to go back into transition after your second lap is completed. Also, when you are completed with the one lap of your second run, you will take a right here, and then you will also have signage to take a right into the finish line and not continue straight back to transition. The bike course for the standard distance race, so as I noted before, it's a 39K one lap. The bike course will traverse Piedmont Highway, similar to the run course except to the south. While on Piedmont Highway, athletes will have one vehicular lane available in each direction, so about 12 to 14 feet. And then when you traverse onto Interstate 185, also commonly called the Southern Connector, two vehicular lanes in each direction will be available. So a little more space, but athletes, you as the athletes, still need to abide by USAT rules by riding to the right. USAT officials will be on course on motorcycles enforcing the competitive rules, and there is no bottle exchange on this bike course. Here's an outline of the standard distance bike course. So if you can see my green cursor here, this is Lakeside Park, so where you will originate and bike out from. This stretch here that I'm highlighting is Piedmont Highway. So this is where you will have one vehicular lane width in each direction. Keep in mind, so you will be in the northbound lanes that are closed to all vehicular traffic. There will still be vehicular traffic traversing the southbound lanes that will be managed by Deschutes County Sheriff's Office. So just be aware that Piedmont Highway will not be fully closed down, but the lanes that you are riding in will be. Once you get to the Interstate 185 on-ramp, you will traverse onto the on-ramp and ride on Interstate 185, also known as the Southern Connector, all the way east and north until you hit the turnaround. This turnaround, you will get off on the Neely Ferry exit ramp and then traverse around the Cloverleaf back on to the westbound Interstate I-85 and then continue back the exact same route you came. The entire Southern Connector, entire interstate is completely closed down to all vehicular traffic. So the only vehicles that you will be seeing will be the motos that are housing the officials on them, and then any other race management staff and or bike support staff at that time as well. There will be proper code lines and proper wayfinding signage throughout the course directing you to the right direction. So be sure that you are being cognizant of that and having good awareness while you're on the course, especially as you approach the turnarounds. Moving on to the run course for non-draft sprint. Run 1 will be a 5K 2 laps, and then run 2 will be 2.85K 1 lap. Very similar to the standard distance course, all the running lanes are closed to traffic. Please stay inside the cones and abide by all wayfinding signage throughout. There will be 2 aid stations, have Gatorade, water, and then the Science and Sport Nutrition Gel. And those will be located approximately every 2 kilometers. So for the non-draft sprint athletes, as you can see, Lakeside Park, you will originate from the same point as the standard distance athletes did. You will follow the same footprint on Piedmont Highway that the standard distance athletes did, except you will reach your turnaround point sooner. So the course length overall on Piedmont Highway is just a bit shorter than the standard distance. You will be in those 2 northbound vehicular lanes throughout the course, and you will have approximately 12 to 14 feet of running width in each direction. exactly the same as the standard distance. Once you get back to the Lakeside Park entrance during your first run, you will be forced to make a decision to either continue straight on your second lap or take a right to go back into transition. And we'll obviously have the proper signage in that place as well. The bike course for the non-draft sprint athletes. So this will be 18.2K course, 1 lap. Very similar to the standard distance course. It has the same overall skeleton. Bike course will traverse Piedmont Highway and Interstate 185. While you're on Piedmont Highway, you'll have 1 vehicular lane available in each direction, and then while you traverse onto Interstate I-185, you'll have 2 vehicular lanes, but once again, we'll need to abide by USAT rules by riding to the right. The officials will be on course as well, along with other bike support and race management vehicles. But when you enter Interstate 185, there will be no vehicular traffic throughout those lanes whatsoever. Here's a map of the non-draft sprint bike course. So very similar to the standard distance bike course, you'll originate from Lakeside Park, mount your bike and traverse onto Piedmont Highway. This stretch here on Piedmont Highway, once again, you will have the 2 northbound vehicular lanes for each direction of bike traffic, and then the 2 southbound vehicular lanes will still be having vehicular traffic flow that will be managed by Deschutes County Sheriff's officers. You'll enter the on-ramp for eastbound Interstate 185 and traverse east up until Augusta Road, which will be your turnaround, where we will mark with proper signage. You will exit off of Interstate I-85, take a left on Augusta Road, and then enter westbound I-185 to traverse back the same way you came from and complete your course. Moving on to the run course for the draft legal sprint. So the exact same as the non-draft sprint that we just touched on. Run 1, 5K, 2 laps, and then run 2, 2.85K, 1 lap. The running lanes are once again close to all traffic, and you will have that 1 vehicular lane width in each direction, so about 12 to 14 feet. We'll also have the 2 aid stations with Gatorade and water and Science and Sport nutrition gel, and those will be located approximately every 2 kilometers. Here's a visual of the draft legal sprint run course. So if you can see my green cursor here, we'll once again originate at the start line at Lakeside Park for run 1. You will traverse out of Lakeside Park and enter Piedmont Highway and continue north on Piedmont Highway, turn around and continue south past the entrance to Lakeside Park just a little bit, make another 180 turnaround, and traverse back to the entrance. At this time, on your run 1, you'll be forced to make a decision if you continue straight to do your second lap of run 1, or if you take a right to enter back into the venue to go to transition to start your bike course. Note that we'll have the proper signage in place here and proper volunteers as well to ensure that you're proceeding in the right direction. The Draft Legal Sprint bike course. So this will be an 18K course that consists of 3 laps. Obviously, drafting will be legal throughout this course. Please stay in your lane. The bike course will traverse Piedmont Highway, and while on Piedmont Highway, you will have 1 vehicular lane available in each direction, so about 12 to 14 feet wide. To complete laps 2 and 3, which I'll show you on the next screen with the map and give you a visual, you'll complete a 180 turn on Piedmont Highway. Please be sure that as you're approaching this area to continue on to laps 2 and 3, that you exercise caution and really watch your speed. This will be a tight turn area on highway, since we'll have obviously athletes making the 180 degree turn, and then after making that 180 degree turn, merging with athletes who are just starting the bike course. We'll obviously take every precaution with how thick our cone lines are and with the proper signage as well to ensure that those two lanes of traffic are delineated. But you guys exercising caution will obviously be a double check on that to ensuring everyone is safe during that turnaround. So here's a visual of the bike course for the Draft Legal Sprint athletes. If you follow my green cursor, you'll originate back up here at Lakeside Park, where you'll mount your bike, traverse through the parking lot, and then enter Piedmont Highway. You'll traverse south down to the turnaround, which is at Landscape Lane, make the 180 turnaround, and then continue back towards Lakeside Park. At this entrance point, this will be where you make your 180-degree turn to go to your laps 2 and 3. So this is the point where you'll have to exercise caution and be very aware of your surroundings and which athletes are riding in close conjunction to you. We'll have plenty of volunteers and race staff in conjunction with the signage at this point to ensure you're very aware that this turnaround is coming up. But we'll really rely on your situational awareness to ensure that all traffic is managed safely as well. For the aid stations on the run course, these will be set approximately every 2 kilometers. We will have 2 aid stations available throughout both the non-draft sprint and draft legal sprint run courses, and then we will have 3 available for the non-draft standard run courses. These will be stocked with Gatorade and water and ice, and then we will also have science and sport nutrition gels available as well at those aid stations. For the 2xU transition zone, so for the mount and dismount lines on the bike course, these will be very clearly marked. We have about a foot width big green mount lines and red dismount lines that will be put down. So be on the lookout for those. They'll be very highly visible. And then we will most likely also have our large red bike dismount arch out as well to make you aware when that dismount point is coming up. The bike racks will be individually numbered, so when you do check your bike into transition, all the rows will be numbered and labeled at the end of each row, so you know which row to rack your bike in. Then we'll also have that tiny 3-inch by 5-inch sticker noting your exact placement in the transition. We will have 10 bikes per rack for the non-draft races and 8 bikes per rack for the draft legal races. Please be very conscious of when you're setting up your transition area and the space that you're taking up. It is preferred that you rack your bike by your seat when you first rack, just to accommodate space, and then you'll have your front wheel down. We will not allow bags in transition following the closing. You can bring your bag in just to set up your area, as long as you do take it back out once you leave your bike in there. We do have the bag check available, as I noted before, which will be directly adjacent to transition. For bike check-in and bike check-out, so for standard distance athletes, bike check-in on Sunday morning is from 5:30 to 7:25, and then you will have an optional bike check-out from 12 to 1, or you can come back later after the sprint race and check out after approximately 3:25 p.m. For the non-draft sprint race, you have an optional bike check-in period from 5:30 to 7:25 a.m. Sunday morning, or a mandatory bike check-in period from 12 to 1 p.m. later that afternoon. You will then be able, as a non-draft sprint athlete, to check your bike out after 3:25 p.m. Please note that we did institute an optional bike check-in period on Saturday afternoon following the draft legal sprint athlete or national championship race. So if you are picking up your packet that day at Lakeside Park, please be aware that that is an option. For the Draft Legal Sprint National Championship, bike check-in for both male and females will be 5:30 to 7:25 on Saturday morning, and then check-out will start at approximately 9:50 a.m. So here's an overview of the venue at Lakeside Park. We have the 2xU transition zone here. Keep in mind that parking will be in this northern half of the circle where my cursor is, that's kind of cut off from the map. So this is up top here at the north entrance where you will have entered on race morning. So you'll enter from either side of the circle, either come in by the start line or you'll come in over by the run-in line, and we'll obviously have spectator crossings all throughout to ensure that you can get exactly where you need to be. So we have the transition zone here. The bike check-in point will originate at the bike out chute, so right where my green cursor is here. So that will be the bike check-in point and bike check-out point for all periods other than the early draft illegal bike check-out that will originate where this green cursor is on the north side of the transition zone. We will be sure to make a swing gate for that option, but just keep in mind that that swing gate is only for the draft illegal bike checkout at 9:50 Saturday morning. Bag check tent is located at number 2 here, directly adjacent to transition. We have the finish line right below, and then obviously have our results tents and officials tents located right off the end of that finish line. And then we will have our post-race food and food truck options available, as well as the EXPO directly adjacent to the finish line as well. Please note that this gives you a little better visual on the run course lap combinations. So for the run courses, you'll obviously start at the start chute, traverse up and out of Lakeside Park, continue north on Piedmont Highway to do your laps, continue back south, and then you will come back to this entrance point where you'll be forced to make a decision on run 1 to continue straight to do your second lap, or you will take a right to enter back in to Lakeside Park and continue through the baseball fields all the way around back into transition. On your second run, you will come back in and enter Lakeside Park, and you want to be sure that you'll take a right to enter the finish versus continuing straight to go back to transition. And we will also have signs in this place as well to ensure that you're proceeding in the right direction. So for the finish line, we will have water and Gatorade provided for all athletes. Medical support will be provided by St. Francis Sports Medicine and Bowers EMS. All athletes will receive a finisher medal, and then post-race food will be located directly adjacent to the finish line in the post-race food tent. Please note when you are proceeding to the post-race food that we will have both a food truck on site and a post-race food tent. You, as the athlete going to your free post-race food meal, will proceed to the post-race food tent. If you want to come back later, or if you have family or friends or other spectators that would like to purchase a meal, then you can go to the food truck and they will have some options for purchase at that time. The award ceremony for Draft Legal Sprint athletes, Saturday, April 7th at the Embassy Suites from 6 to 7 p.m. And we'll have awards for overall male-female, and then for each age group, male-female, places 1st through 3rd. The award ceremony for standard and non-draft sprint on Sunday, April 8th. This will be back at the Embassy Suites as well in their grand ballroom. This will be from 6:15 to 8 o'clock p.m., which will be immediately following our town hall ceremony, and will also include the Duathletes of the Year as well. Standard distance awards, we will have overall, and then age group male-female 1st through 5th. Sprint distance awards, we'll also have overall male-female, age group male-female places 1st through 5th, and then PC Open places 1st through 3rd. Note that for that town hall meeting that I mentioned, the first 100 people to come will receive a free drink ticket. For Team USA qualification for the standard distance race, so this will qualify the top 18 athletes in each age group rolling down to 25th place after the age up rule is applied. And this will qualify athletes for the 2019 ITU Multi-Sport Festival in Pontevedra, Spain. Spots must be claimed at the award ceremony on April 8th in person. For the sprint distance races, so both non-draft and draft legal sprint races qualify athletes for the 2019 festival in Pontevedra. 8 male and 8 female spots are allocated to the non-draft sprint in each age group, and then 10 male and 10 female are allocated to the draft legal sprint in each age group. Spots, once again, must be claimed at the award ceremony in person for the event in which you qualify first. So if you qualify through the draft legal national championship on Saturday, you do not need to go and claim your spot again if you also qualify on Sunday's race. For more details on overall Team USA qualification, please visit the Team USA page on our website. New this year from USA Triathlon, we're supporting the If You See Something, Say Something campaign led by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security at its events in an effort to ensure the safety and efficiency of all the patrons, athletes, spectators, volunteers, and staff at our events. And this raises public awareness of the indicators of terrorism and terrorism-related crime. So if you do see something suspicious, please be sure that you report that either to local law enforcement on site or race management, and we can be sure that is triaged accordingly. A big thank you to all the people that have helped us so far up to this point for the race, and will continue to do so through race day. Visit Greenville and their entire staff, Greenville County Parks and Recreation, St. Francis Sports Medicine, the City and County of Greenville, and the South Carolina Department of Transportation, the Southern Connector for allowing us to close down their road to give you guys a beautiful bike course ride, Lieutenant Chris Hines in the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, and then all of our USA Triathlon staff, CROs and NTOs that will be helping officiating the race, and the volunteers, sponsors, and you, of course, the athletes, for coming to attend such a great race. Also, a big thanks to our partners. A few of these will be in attendance at the EXPO each day, so be sure you swing in. Thank them for their support of both USA Triathlon and their support of triathlon in general. If you have any further questions, please be sure to send those to nationalevents@usatriathlon.org, and we'll be sure that those are answered in an efficient time. Also stay tuned. There will be a separate webinar that will review draft legal specific items that will be administered by Craig Henkin. So be sure that you look for that both in the athlete newsletters and then online as well. And then also one final note to ensure that you hopefully have a great race. We are expecting temperatures to be a little on the chillier side. Right now we're expecting it to be in between 45 and 55 degrees in the early morning hours when you're checking your bike in, and then heating up to 70 to 75 degrees throughout the race day. So just be sure that you plan appropriately. And thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to seeing you in Greenville.